The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched out like a massive dome made of crystal and light. Thousands of different alien species filled the floating seats that moved slowly around the center stage. Each species looked completely different from the others. Some had multiple arms, others had no arms at all. Some breathed different gases, while others lived in water tanks built into their seats. Ambassador Chen walked slowly to the center of the hall. Her simple black suit looked very plain compared to the colorful and strange clothing worn by the aliens around her. She carried a small data pad in her hands. This pad contained all of humanity's hopes for joining the advanced members of the Galactic Council. The noise in the hall was incredible. Thousands of different languages mixed together to create a sound like a storm. But when Ambassador Chen reached the speaking platform, the noise stopped. Every eye, sensor, and detection device focused on the small human woman. High Counselor Vexthak rose from his seat. He was a Zephyrian, which meant he looked like a giant insect walking on two legs. His body was covered in shiny green armor that grew naturally from his skin. His four arms moved as he spoke, and his large compound eyes reflected the light from the dome above. "Members of the Council," Vexthak said, his voice carrying clearly through the hall's translation system. "Today we hear from the humans of Earth. They wish to move from basic membership to advanced status. They claim their technology is ready for this honor." A wave of clicking sounds came from the Zephyrian section. This was their way of laughing. Soon, other species joined in with their own sounds of amusement. The ethereals, who looked like living crystals, began to pulse with bright colors that meant they found something very funny. The Molari, who were like large slugs with tentacles, made wet slapping sounds on their desks. Ambassador Chen waited for the noise to stop. She had expected this reaction. Earth was still very new to the galactic community. Humans had only made contact with aliens 50 years ago. Most species in the Council had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. "Honored counselors," Chen began, "humanity requests advancement to Level 3 status. We believe our technology and peaceful intentions make us ready for this. Responsibility." She pressed a button on her data pad. A hologram appeared above the platform. It showed a human spaceship floating in the darkness of space. The ship was called the Phantom's Edge. It looked simple and basic compared to the amazing vessels the aliens built. The ship was about 200 meters long and 50 meters wide. Its hull was dark gray metal with no decorations or fancy designs. It had basic fusion engines at the back and what looked like normal weapon systems along the sides. To most of the aliens watching, it looked like something their species might have built 1,000 years ago. More laughter filled the hall. This time it was even louder than before. A Molari counselor named Grixtal spoke up. His voice was wet and bubbly through the translator. "This is what humans call advanced technology?" Grixtal said. "My people built better ships when we were still learning to leave our home world. Look at those engines. Look at that hull design. Where are the quantum drives? Where are the phase shifters? Where are the reality manipulation systems?" Other counselors began to speak up as well. A crystalline named Sharweth pointed at the hologram with one of her sharp crystal arms. "The humans show us a ship that cannot even bend space properly," Sharweth said. "How do they expect to trade with species whose vessels can travel through multiple dimensions? How can they protect shipping lanes against pirates who use temporal weapons?" Vexthak raised all four of his arms for silence. The hall became quiet again, but Chen could still hear the soft sounds of alien amusement. "Ambassador Chen," Vexthak said, "the Council appreciates humanity's enthusiasm. But Level 3 membership requires proven advanced technology. Your species must demonstrate capabilities that match the established members." Chen nodded slowly. She had known this would not be easy. Earth scientists and engineers had worked for decades to build the Phantom's Edge, but she also knew that the aliens could not see everything about human technology. "We understand the Council's concerns," Chen said. Perhaps a demonstration would be helpful? Our ship is currently in the Kepler system, just 2 days from here. We would be happy to show its capabilities. This suggestion caused another wave of laughter. The idea that humans wanted to demonstrate their advanced technology was apparently very funny to most of the species present. Vexthak's mandibles clicked together several times. This was the Zephyrian way of showing deep amusement. A demonstration will not be necessary, Vexthak said. The Council has seen enough. We will now vote on humanity's application. The voting process was quick and clear. Each species had 1 vote. As the results appeared on the great displays around the hall, Chen felt her heart sink. The vote was unanimous. Every single species voted to deny humanity's request for advancement. But it got worse. Vexthak stood up again and looked directly at Chen. The Council has decided, he announced. Not only is humanity denied advancement to Level 3, but your current Level 2 status is also being reviewed. Based on your demonstrated technology, the Council believes humanity should be moved to Level 1 status. Chen's face went pale. Level 1 was the lowest possible membership. It meant humans could only trade in dead systems that nobody else wanted. It meant no access to advanced technology or medical treatments. It meant humanity would be treated like children who needed to be watched and protected. Furthermore, Vexthak continued, humanity will be restricted to the Outer Rim territories. Your ships will not be permitted in core system space lanes without special permits. Your trading rights are limited to salvage operations in systems marked as abandoned or depleted. The hall erupted in approving sounds from dozens of different species. Most of them seemed to think this was a very reasonable decision. A few species looked at Chen with what might have been pity. Chen stood very still as the council members began to leave. Species after species filed out of the great hall, many of them still making sounds of amusement. Some stopped to look at the hologram of the Phantom's Edge one more time before leaving, as if they wanted to remember the funny little human ship. When most of the aliens had gone, Chen finally moved. She picked up her data pad and turned off the hologram. The image of the Phantom's Edge disappeared, leaving only empty air above the platform. As she walked toward the exit, Chen's face showed no emotion. But her eyes held something that the aliens had missed. It was not anger or sadness. It was patience. It was the look of someone who knew a secret that others did not. High Counselor Vexthak watched her leave from his seat. He clicked his mandibles. One more time in amusement. Humans, he said to his aide. They think they understand the galaxy after 50 years of contact. Perhaps this lesson will teach them some humility. But if Vexthak had looked more carefully at Ambassador Chen's face, he might have noticed something important. She was not walking like someone who had been defeated. She was walking like someone who had just finished the first part of a very long plan. Outside the council hall, Chen activated a small communication device. She spoke just 2 words into it. Phase 1 complete. On the other end of the communication, somewhere in the darkness of space near the Kepler system, Captain Maria Santos smiled as she received the message. Around her, the bridge of the Phantoms. Edge hummed quietly with systems the Galactic Council could not even imagine. 6 months passed after the council meeting. During this time, humanity quietly accepted their new status as Level 1 members. Human ships began working in the Outer Rim systems, salvaging old technology and trading in areas that other species considered worthless. To most of the galaxy, it seemed like the humans had learned their place. But something else was happening during those 6 months, something that would change everything. The hegemony was growing stronger and more aggressive. This was a military alliance made up of 4 powerful species: the Zephyrians, the Molari, the Kethvar, and the Nexari. Each species brought different strengths to the alliance. The Zephyrians had incredible weapons technology. The Molari controlled vast manufacturing systems. The Kethvar had the largest fleet of warships. The Nexari possessed advanced shield and armor systems. For years, the hegemony had been slowly expanding their territory. They would find systems controlled by weaker species and demand tribute. If the species refused to pay, the hegemony would take over their worlds by force. The Galactic Council always protested these actions, but they never actually did anything to stop them. The hegemony's latest target was unusual. They were not going after a small, weak species this time. They were going after humanity. General Cross commanded the hegemony fleet. He was a Kethvar, which meant he looked like a large reptile with thick armor plates covering his body. His species had been warriors for thousands of years, and Cross was considered one of their finest military leaders. Cross stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator. This ship was massive, over 3 kilometers long and nearly a kilometer wide. Its hull was made from quantum-enhanced metals that could survive almost any attack. Its weapon systems could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Its shields could deflect energy beams that would burn through a planet's surface. The Dominator was not alone. Around it flew hundreds of other hegemony warships. Cruisers, destroyers, fighters, and support vessels filled the space around the flagship. Together, they formed the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. "Status report," Cross growled to his bridge crew. "All ships ready for departure, General," replied his tactical officer. "The fleet is prepared to enter. Human space on your command." Cross looked at the star charts displayed on his main screen. Human space was marked in blue, and it looked very small compared to the vast territories controlled by the hegemony. Earth itself was just one small planet in a system that contained nothing particularly valuable. "Why are we bothering with these?" "Humans?" asked Commander Vexka, Cross's second-in-command. "They have no advanced technology. Their military is weak. Their worlds contain no rare resources. What does the hegemony gain from conquering them?" Cross turned to face his second-in-command. His yellow eyes gleamed with cold intelligence. "It is not about what we gain," Cross explained. "It is about sending a message to the rest of the galaxy. If the hegemony can crush humanity so easily, other species will surrender without fighting. Fear is a more powerful weapon than any gun or missile." The plan was simple. The hegemony fleet would jump into the solar system and demand Earth's immediate surrender. If the humans refused, the fleet would destroy their orbital defense platforms and bombard their major cities until the government gave up. The whole operation was expected to take less than 1 day. 3 days later, the hegemony fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. General Cross immediately sent a message to Earth's government. "People of Earth," the message began, "you are now facing the combined might of the hegemony. Your level 1 status in the Galactic Council means you have no allies who will come to help you. Your primitive technology cannot stand against our advanced weapons. Surrender now, and your species will be allowed to continue existing as subjects of the hegemony. Refuse, and your civilization will be destroyed." On Earth, President Martinez received the message in the Emergency Command Center deep below the United Nations building. Around her sat the leaders of Earth's military and space forces. The room was quiet as everyone considered their options. "How long until their fleet reaches Earth?" President Martinez asked. Admiral Rodriguez, the head of Earth's space defense force, checked her computer. "At their current speed, about 18 hours, Madam President. And our defenses?" "We have 47 ships in the system," Admiral Rodriguez replied. "Most are older corvettes and frigates. We have 6 newer destroyers and 1 battleship. Against a hegemony fleet of this size..." She paused. "We cannot win a direct fight. President..." Martinez nodded slowly. She had expected this answer. Earth's military had grown significantly in the past 50 years, but it was still nothing compared to species that had been building warships for thousands of years. "There is one other option," Admiral Rodriguez said quietly. "What option?" "The Phantom's Edge is currently in the Proxima system. Captain Santos could bring her ship back within 12 hours. Several people around the table made sounds of disbelief. The Phantom's Edge was the same ship that the Galactic Council had mocked 6 months earlier. How could one small frigate make any difference against hundreds of enemy warships? But President Martinez had been briefed on certain classified information about the Phantom's Edge, information that even most of Earth's military leaders did not know. "Contact Captain Santos," President Martinez ordered. "Tell her to return to Earth immediately." 8 hours later, Admiral Rodriguez sent a message that shocked the entire galaxy. The message was broadcast on all galactic communication channels, ensuring that every species would hear it. "General Cross," the message began, "Earth rejects the hegemony's demand for surrender. Instead, we propose a different solution. According to galactic law, any species may request trial by combat when faced with conquest. We invoke this right. We challenge the hegemony to single combat, one of our ships against one of yours. If we win, the hegemony will withdraw from human space and leave us alone. If you win, Earth will surrender without further resistance." The message continued. "We propose that your flagship, the Dominator, face our ship, the Phantom's Edge, in combat. The battle will take place in the Kepler graveyard in 72 hours. Galactic Council observers are welcome to witness the fight." When this message reached the hegemony fleet, General Cross's bridge fell completely silent. His officers stared at their screens in amazement. The humans were challenging the mighty Dominator to single combat with the same little ship that the Council had laughed at 6 months ago. Commander Vexka was the first to speak. "General, this must be some kind of mistake. They cannot be serious." But Cross was reading the message again. According to galactic law, the challenge was legitimate. The hegemony could refuse, but doing so would make them look weak in front of other species. And accepting meant they could crush humanity's hopes with a single devastating battle. "They are serious," Cross said slowly. "And they have just given us the perfect opportunity to demonstrate our power to the entire galaxy." Within hours, news of the challenge spread throughout galactic space. Betting pools opened on every civilized world. The odds were set at 10,000 to 1 in favor of the hegemony. Most species saw this as humanity's final act of defiance before their inevitable destruction. But on the bridge of the Phantom's Edge, Captain Maria Santos read the challenge message and smiled. She turned to her crew, who were watching her with calm confidence. "Well, people," Captain Santos said, "it looks like it's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do." Behind her, the ship's advanced systems hummed quietly in the darkness of space. Systems that no alien species had ever seen or imagined. Systems that would soon change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Kepler graveyard was one of the most famous locations in the galaxy. Thousands of years ago, 2 massive fleets had fought a terrible battle in this system. The fighting had been so intense that both fleets were completely destroyed. Now, the area was filled with the broken remains of ancient warships. Huge pieces of metal drifted slowly through space. Some were as large as small moons. Others were tiny fragments no bigger than a person's hand. The wreckage created a maze of twisted metal and dead machinery that stretched for millions of kilometers in every direction. It was the perfect place for a fight between 2 ships. General Cross arrived at the Kepler graveyard 12 hours before the scheduled battle. The Dominator moved slowly through the debris field, its powerful sensors scanning everything around it. Cross wanted to study the battlefield and plan his strategy. The bridge of the Dominator was enormous. It could hold over 100 crew members, and right now, it was completely full. Officers from all 4 hegemony species worked at control stations that covered every wall. Holographic displays showed detailed maps of the debris field. Weapon targeting systems tracked thousands of pieces of floating wreckage. "Sensor report," Cross ordered. His sensor officer, a Molari named Glexton, studied his displays carefully. "The debris field contains approximately 40,000 large objects and millions of smaller pieces, General. Metal composition varies widely. Some pieces are made from materials we do not recognize. Many objects are still radioactive from the ancient battle. Can our sensors penetrate the interference? Yes, General. Our quantum detection arrays can track any ship larger than 10 meters through the debris field. The humans will not be able to hide from us. Cross nodded with satisfaction. One of his biggest concerns had been that the humans might try to use the debris field to hide their ship. But the Dominator's advanced sensors could find anything that tried to hide in the wreckage. Weapons status? His weapons officer, a Kethvar named Draktul, checked his systems. All weapon systems fully operational, General. Primary quantum cannons are charged and ready. Secondary plasma batteries are online. Missile systems are loaded with our most powerful warheads. We have enough firepower to destroy everything in a 10-kilometer radius. And our defenses? Phase shift armor is operating at maximum efficiency, reported the defense officer. Energy shields are at full strength. Point defense systems are active. The human ship will not be able to damage us with their primitive weapons. Cross looked at the main display, which showed the entire debris field. Somewhere in that maze of ancient wreckage, a small human ship was preparing to fight the most powerful warship in the galaxy. The idea was so ridiculous that Cross almost felt sorry for the humans. "Sir," called the communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council observation fleet. Put it on screen." The image of High Counselor Vexthak appeared on the main display. The Zephyrian leader looked as amused as he had during the council meeting 6 months ago. "General Cross," Vexthak said, "the council observers are in position. We are ready to witness this combat trial." "How many ships are observing?" Cross asked. "Representatives from 26 different species are present. We want to ensure that this battle is properly recorded for historical purposes." Cross understood what Vexthak really meant. The council wanted to make sure that when the humans were destroyed, the entire galaxy would see it happen. It would be a lesson for any other species that might think about challenging the established order. "The hegemony is ready to begin whenever the humans arrive," Cross said. "They are already here," Vexthak replied. Cross looked confused. "What do you mean? Our sensors show no sign of their ship." "According to our instruments, the Phantom's Edge entered the debris field 47 minutes ago. They transmitted their arrival to us directly, but apparently they have not made contact with you." This information troubled Cross. He turned to his sensor officer. "Glexton, scan the entire field again. Find that human ship." "Scanning now, General." The Molari worked at his controls for several minutes. His tentacles moved quickly over the sensor displays as he adjusted settings and increased power to the detection arrays. Finally, he looked up with confusion on his face. "General, I cannot find any ship matching the profile of the Phantom's Edge. Our sensors detect no vessels in the debris field except for observer ships at the edge of the area." "That is impossible," Cross growled. "No ship can hide from our quantum sensors. Scan again." For the next 2 hours, the crew of the Dominator searched the debris field with every sensor they had. They used quantum detectors, gravitational sensors, thermal scanners, electromagnetic arrays, and even exotic particle detectors that could find ships hidden in other dimensions. But they found nothing. The human ship had simply disappeared. "General," suggested Commander Vexka, "perhaps the humans decided not to come. Perhaps they realized how hopeless their situation is and chose to run instead of fight." But even as Vexka spoke, a new transmission came through the communication system. This time it was from the humans. "General Cross," said a calm female voice. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the Phantom's Edge. We are ready to begin combat whenever you are." Cross stared at the communication panel. "Where are you?" he demanded. "We are in the debris field as agreed. Are your sensors having trouble finding us?" "Our sensors can detect any ship in this area. If you are here, we will find you." There was a pause before Captain Santos replied. When she spoke again, there was something like amusement in her voice. "General, we have been watching you search for us for the past 2 hours. We are currently less than 5 kilometers from your ship. Your sensors are working perfectly. The problem is not with your technology. This statement sent a chill through everyone on the bridge of the Dominator. If the human ship was really that close, it should be impossible to miss with their sensors. But their instruments showed nothing except empty space and floating debris. "You are lying," Cross said, but there was uncertainty in his voice. 3 kilometers off your starboard side, Captain Santos replied. "We are currently hiding behind the wreckage of what looks like an ancient ethereal battlecruiser. Would you like us to move to a different position so you can practice finding us?" Cross turned to his weapons officer. "Draktul, target the area 3 kilometers off our starboard side. Fire a warning shot." The Dominator's secondary plasma batteries turned toward the indicated area. A bright green energy beam lanced out and struck the wreckage of an ancient ship. The metal exploded in a shower of sparks and debris, but there was no sign of any human vessel. "You missed us by about 50 meters, Captain Santos said calmly. "We moved when we saw your weapons turning in our direction. Would you like to try again?" For the next 4 hours, General Cross and his crew played a deadly game of hide-and-seek with an opponent they could not see. The Dominator moved slowly through the debris field, firing weapons at any location where the humans claimed to be. But every shot missed its target. Sometimes the human captain would describe exactly what the Dominator was doing, proving that she could see them clearly. Other times she would suggest tactical improvements for the hegemony crew, as if she was trying to help them become better at hunting invisible enemies. "General," Captain Santos said during one of these conversations, "your ship is very impressive, but you are thinking about this the wrong way. You are trying to use advanced technology to find us, but sometimes the oldest methods work best." "What do you mean?" Cross demanded. "Stop looking for our ship. Start looking for what we do to the environment around us. Every ship affects the space it moves through, even if you cannot see the ship itself." This advice confused Cross, but it also gave him an idea. He ordered his crew to stop scanning for the ship directly. Instead, they began looking for secondary effects: gravitational disturbances, changes in the motion of nearby debris, areas where cosmic radiation was being blocked by something invisible. For a few minutes, this new approach seemed to work. The sensors detected small gravitational anomalies in several locations. But when the Dominator's weapons fired at these areas, they found nothing. "Very good, General," Captain Santos said approvingly. "You are learning, but you are still thinking too simply. What if the thing you are hunting is not just invisible, but also not what it appears to be?" This cryptic statement made no sense to anyone on the Dominator's bridge. How could something be not what it appeared to be if they could not see it in the first place? As the hours passed, Cross began to feel something he had never experienced before in his long military career. He was starting to feel afraid, not afraid of losing the battle. His ship was still vastly more powerful than anything the humans could build, but afraid of the unknown. Afraid of fighting an enemy that seemed to understand the rules of warfare better than he did. On the bridge of the Phantom's Edge, Captain Santos watched the Dominator's increasingly frantic search efforts with calm satisfaction. Around her, her crew worked quietly at their stations. The ship's revolutionary stealth systems kept them completely hidden from every sensor the aliens possessed. But Santos knew that hiding was only the first part of their plan. Soon, it would be time to show the galaxy what humanity had really learned during... General Cross had reached the end of his patience. For 8 hours, his mighty warship had hunted through the debris field without finding any trace of the human vessel. His crew was tired and frustrated. His sensor officers had tried every detection method known to their species, but the Phantom's Edge remained completely invisible. "Enough of this," Cross growled, his clawed hands gripping the arms of his command chair. "If the humans want to hide like cowards, we will force them to come out and fight." He turned to his weapons officer. "Draktul, begin systematic destruction of the debris field. Target every piece of wreckage larger than 100 meters. If the humans are hiding behind something, we will destroy everything they could possibly." "Hide behind." "Yes, General," Draktul replied. Beginning bombardment now. The Dominator's massive weapons came alive. Quantum cannons fired beams of pure energy that could cut through the strongest known materials. Plasma batteries launched streams of superheated matter that burned at temperatures hotter than most stars. Missile launchers released swarms of antimatter warheads that could destroy entire city blocks. The ancient debris field, which had drifted peacefully through space for thousands of years, began to disappear. Huge pieces of wreckage exploded into clouds of metal fragments. Ancient battleships that had survived the original battle were torn apart by weapons far more advanced than anything their builders had ever imagined. Target acquired, Draktul announced. Destroying ancient cruiser wreckage at coordinates 77 Mark IV. A brilliant green beam lanced out from the Dominator's main cannon. The target, a piece of ship hull nearly a kilometer long, simply vanished in a burst of light and energy. The observers from the Galactic Council watched this display of firepower with awe. Even species that had been building weapons for thousands of years were impressed by the Dominator's destructive capability. High Counselor Vexithak sent a private message to the other council members. Perhaps we should intervene, Vexithak suggested. This is no longer a fair combat trial. The humans cannot possibly survive this bombardment. But the other council members disagreed. According to galactic law, the combat trial could only be stopped if both sides agreed to end it. As long as, the humans continued to fight, the battle would continue. On the bridge of the Phantom's Edge, Captain Santos watched the destruction with calm interest. Her ship remained hidden just 2 kilometers away from the Dominator, well within range of the alien weapons. But the advanced stealth systems kept them completely safe. "Captain," said Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station, "the Dominator has destroyed approximately 30% of the large debris in our immediate area. At their current rate of fire, they will eliminate all potential hiding spots within 6 hours. Let them destroy everything they want," Santos replied. "It will not help them find us, but it does show the galaxy exactly what kind of enemy we are facing." Santos had been thinking about this moment for months. The plan she and her crew were about to execute had been years in the making. It required perfect timing, absolute trust, and technology that no other species in the galaxy possessed. "Communications," Santos said. "Open a channel to the Dominator." "Channel open, Captain." "General Cross," Santos said, her voice carrying clearly across space. "We have been impressed by your firepower demonstration. Your weapons are truly magnificent, but we notice that you still have not found our ship." Cross's angry voice came. "Back immediately. Stop hiding and face us like warriors." "We are not hiding, General. We are right here in front of you. The problem is that you do not understand what you are looking for." "What do you mean?" Cross demanded. Santos paused for a moment, knowing that her next words would change everything. "General, you have been trying to find one ship, but you were never fighting one ship. You have been fighting 7 ships that you thought were one." This statement caused confusion on every bridge in the debris field. The observers began scanning their own sensors, trying to understand what the human captain meant. "That is impossible," Cross said. "Our intelligence clearly showed one human vessel. The Phantom's Edge is a single frigate." "The Phantom's Edge is what we wanted you to think you were seeing," Santos replied. "But appearances can be very deceiving." She turned to her crew. "All stations, prepare for separation. Drop stealth fields on my command." On her main display, Santos could see the tactical situation clearly. The Dominator was positioned perfectly, surrounded by empty space where the debris had been destroyed. The alien warship was powerful, but it was also large and slow. It had been built to fight other large, slow warships in direct combat. It had not been built to fight what the humans were about to show them. "Execute separation," Santos ordered. Across the galaxy, millions of beings watched their sensors in amazement as the impossible happened. Where empty space had been just seconds before, 7 human ships suddenly appeared. They materialized out of nothing, as if reality itself had been hiding them. But these were not 7 copies of the same ship. Each vessel was completely different from the others. The ship in the center was the command vessel, where Captain Santos sat. It was sleek and fast, built for coordination and tactical control. Surrounding it were 6 specialized ships, each designed for a specific type of warfare. One ship bristled with railgun systems, magnetic launchers that could fire projectiles at incredible speeds. These weapons could punch through almost any armor by using pure kinetic energy rather than exotic physics. Another ship was covered in electronic warfare equipment. Its purpose was to disrupt enemy communications, disable their computers, and turn their own systems against them. A third ship carried experimental antimatter weapons. These were the most dangerous weapons humanity had ever built, capable of releasing the same energy that powered stars. The fourth ship was equipped with advanced defensive systems, energy shields, armor plating, and point defense weapons that could protect the other vessels from enemy fire. The fifth ship was a sensor and intelligence platform. It could detect enemy weaknesses, analyze their technology, and provide targeting data for the other ships. The sixth ship was the fastest of all. Its job was to deliver special weapons directly to enemy vessels, even if it meant flying through heavy defensive fire. For months, these 7 ships had been locked together and disguised as a single vessel. Their individual stealth systems had been coordinated to make the entire formation invisible to alien sensors. To outside observers, the Phantom's Edge had appeared to be one simple frigate. But now the truth was revealed. Humanity's first warship was not one ship at all. It was a pack of hunters, each with different skills and capabilities. General Cross stared at his sensors in disbelief. The readings made no sense. 7 ships had appeared from nowhere, and his computers could not understand how they had been hidden. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "Commander Vexka," he said more loudly. "Tactical analysis. What are we facing?" His second-in-command studied the sensor data with growing alarm. "General, each human ship appears to have different capabilities. Our computers cannot identify their weapon systems or defensive measures. The technology readings do not match anything in our databases." Cross felt a cold fear growing in his chest. For the first time in his military career, he was facing an completely unknown enemy. Everything he thought he knew about human technology was wrong. "All weapons," he ordered. "Target the largest human ship. Destroy it immediately." But even as he gave the order, the human ships began to move. They separated and accelerated in different directions, moving faster than any ships their size should be able to move. Within seconds, they had spread out across a huge area of space. The Dominator's weapons fired, but they hit only empty space. The human ships moved like a school of fish, coordinating their movements perfectly, even though they were no longer connected to each other. Captain Santos spoke again, and now her voice carried a tone that made every alien listener feel uncomfortable. "General Cross, you wanted to see what humanity could do in battle. You wanted us to stop hiding and fight like warriors. Very well. Let us show you what humans are really capable of when we stop pretending to be something we are not." The 7 ships of the Phantom's Edge formation turned toward the massive Dominator like wolves circling their prey. The hunt was about to begin in earnest. The battle that followed lasted only 17 minutes, but those 17 minutes changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The 7 human ships attacked the Dominator like a coordinated pack of predators. Each ship had a specific role to play, and they executed their plan with precision that amazed every observer. The electronic warfare ship struck first. Invisible signals penetrated the Dominator's computer systems, carrying viruses and logic bombs that human programmers had spent years developing. Within seconds, the great warship's shields began to flicker as their control systems received conflicting commands. What is happening to our defenses? General Cross demanded. Unknown, sir, replied his systems officer, a Nexari named Vithtal. Our computers are receiving unauthorized commands. The shield generators are being told to shut down and restart repeatedly. Override the commands. We are trying, General, but the intrusion programs are adapting faster than we can counter them. It is as if they are learning from our defensive measures. While the Dominator's crew struggled with their failing computer systems, the human sensor ship completed a detailed scan of the alien vessel. Within minutes, it had identified every weakness in the warship's design. The information was immediately shared with the other human ships. The intelligence data revealed something that surprised even Captain Santos. The Dominator was incredibly powerful, but it had been built with a fatal flaw. All of its major systems were connected through a central power distribution network. If that network could be damaged, the entire ship would lose power. Tactical, Santos said to her crew. Transmit targeting data to the railgun platform. Mark the power distribution junction at coordinates 177 Mark 8. The railgun ship received the targeting information and immediately changed course. Its magnetic launchers were already charged and ready to fire. These weapons did not use energy beams or exotic particles. They simply fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The advantage of railgun weapons was that they were very difficult to defend against. Energy shields that could stop laser beams had trouble with solid objects moving at nearly the speed of light, and the Dominator's shields were already weakened by the electronic attack. The railgun ship fired 3 projectiles in rapid succession. Each projectile was about the size of a telephone pole and made from the hardest metal that human science could produce. They struck the Dominator's hull with the force of nuclear explosions. The first projectile punched through the outer armor and penetrated deep into the ship's interior. The second projectile widened the hole. The third projectile reached the central power distribution junction and destroyed it completely. Immediately, lights began going out all across the Dominator. Emergency power systems activated, but they could only supply a fraction of the ship's normal energy needs. General, reported Commander Vexka, we have lost main power. Weapons are operating at 20% capacity. Shields are down to 15% strength. Engines are barely functional. Cross stared at his darkened bridge in disbelief. His mighty warship, which had been built to fight entire fleets, had been crippled by 3 simple metal projectiles. But the humans were not finished. The fast attack ship accelerated toward the Dominator at maximum speed. It was the smallest of the human vessels, no larger than a fighter craft. But strapped to its hull was a weapon that made every alien observer hold their breath in fear. An antimatter charge. Antimatter was the most dangerous substance in the universe. When it came into contact with normal matter, both were completely destroyed, releasing enormous amounts of energy. Most species had strict laws about using antimatter weapons because the destruction they caused was almost impossible to control. But humans apparently had no such restrictions. The fast attack ship dodged the Dominator's defensive fire with incredible skill. The alien gunners tried to shoot it down, but their targeting computers were still being disrupted by the electronic warfare attack. Their shots missed by huge margins. As the small ship approached the Dominator's hull, its pilot sent a final message to Captain Santos. Antimatter package delivered. See you on the other side, Captain. The pilot ejected from his ship just seconds before it struck the Dominator's hull. The antimatter charge detonated exactly where the human computers had calculated it would do. The most damage? The explosion was visible from millions of kilometers away. A sphere of pure energy expanded from the Dominator's hull, vaporizing everything it touched. When the light faded, a huge section of the alien warship was simply gone. Structural damage report, Cross ordered weakly. Catastrophic damage to sections. 7 through 12, reported the damage control officer. We have lost life support to 40% of the ship. Hull integrity is failing in multiple locations. Weapon systems 2, 4, and 6 are completely destroyed. Cross realized that his ship was dying. The Dominator was still huge and still dangerous, but it was no longer capable of effective combat. More importantly, its crew was in immediate danger of dying if they did not receive help soon. The remaining human ships could have finished off the Dominator easily. Instead, they did something that surprised everyone. They stopped attacking. Captain Santos's voice came over the communication system one more time. "General Cross, your ship is badly damaged and your crew is in danger. We are prepared to allow you to surrender with honor. Your people can evacuate to escape pods, and we will ensure their safety." For a long moment, Cross said nothing. He was a Kethvar warrior, and his people had a tradition of fighting to the death rather than surrendering. But he was also responsible for the lives of his crew. "Why?" he asked finally. "Why do you offer mercy to your enemies?" "Because this battle was never about destroying you," Santos replied. "It was about showing the galaxy that humanity is not what they thought we were. That demonstration is now complete." Cross looked around his ruined bridge. His officers were working desperately to keep the ship's life support systems functioning. Many of them were injured. All of them were looking to him for leadership. "I surrender," Cross said quietly. Within hours, the news of humanity's victory spread throughout the galaxy. The impossible had happened. A single human vessel, or rather 7 human vessels pretending to be one, had defeated the most powerful warship in known space. High Counselor Vexthak sat in his private chambers, reading reports from the observers who had witnessed the battle. The details were almost impossible to believe. Human technology was not primitive at all. It was different. It was based on principles that no other species had ever considered. While other species had focused on building bigger ships, with more powerful weapons, humans had focused on deception, coordination, and precision. They had created weapons that used simple physics to devastating effect. They had developed computer systems that could outthink the most advanced alien networks. Most importantly, they had learned to work together in ways that other species could not understand. A communication came through to Vexathak's office. It was Ambassador Chen, the same human diplomat who had been mocked by the Council 6 months earlier. "High Counselor," Chen said, "humanity would like to request a new vote on our membership status." Vexthak's mandibles clicked nervously. "Ambassador, I think we need to discuss more than just your membership level. The Council needs to understand exactly what human capabilities really are." "Of course," Chen replied. "We are prepared to share our technology with species that prove they can be trusted. We believe that cooperation benefits everyone." The vote on humanity's new status was held 1 week later. This time, it was not just about Level 3 membership. The Council voted to grant humanity Level 5 status, the highest level possible. Only 12 other species in the galaxy had ever achieved Level 5, but the Council also voted to do something they had never done before. They invited humanity to join the Council's governing board. For the first time in galactic history, a species that had been in space for less than a century would help make decisions for the entire galaxy. Captain Santos stood on the bridge of the Phantom's edge as it docked at the orbital station above, the Council homeworld. Around her, the 7 ships of her formation moved in perfect coordination, their advanced systems working together as smoothly as ever. "Captain?" asked Lieutenant Torres. "What do you think will happen now?" Santos looked out at the stars through the bridge windows. Somewhere out there, thousands of alien species were trying to understand how humanity had hidden its true capabilities for so long. They were trying to figure out what other surprises humans might have in store. "I think," Santos said slowly, "that the galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place." She was right. Within a year, dozens of species had approached humanity, asking for technology-sharing agreements. The humans were careful about who they trusted, but they were generous with species that proved they wanted to use advanced technology for peaceful purposes. The age of humanity hiding in the shadows was over. The age of humanity as a major galactic power had begun, and it had all started with a simple lesson that the aliens had learned too late. Never judge a species by what they allow you to see. In the darkness of space, human ships continued to patrol the galaxy's trade routes. But now, when pirates or aggressive species saw them,